The main thing the dirt sheets picked up is they covered the one sentence, John Cena is a poison. So how do you feel about, that's what, because I think the dirt sheets like kind of, they're clickbait. It is what it is. They want to get the clicks on it. And I don't know. Do you want to elaborate on that? Because we said a lot of quality stuff. If people listen to the show, I think they kind of understand, like, wait, well, that's not all that was said in that episode. And there was a valid reason for that. But what do you think about that?
Again, I told you that it sucks that, I guess it's flattering that you have all these, they want to run stories every week. Mm-hmm. They don't do it. They don't do it in the most flattering of ways at times. Are you still there, Buck?
Yeah, sorry. My thing is, I'm just checking my battery, but yeah.
But they also quoted me as saying that he was a piece of shit. And I think a lot of people need to realize is that everybody else is an outsider. I was inside. I have my own personal firsthand experiences and accounts with John. And me with my Feed Me More brand and everything that I am doing, I base everything around telling the truth and telling it. And some things are obviously from my perspective that it would be detrimental to me to say things that were not true from my account and my experiences when I am also telling things that, you know what I mean?
I think so.
Like I have no agenda, no reason. But like they say what goes around comes around, and I have my podcast now, and it came up. And I spoke about it honestly. And I always said, I was telling my dad was asking me about this because my dad gets the Bleacher Reports.
Really?
And he goes, yeah. He gets the notifications and he read, and he was just like, he goes, what's going on with this John stuff? And he's lived it with me.
Yeah.
He's lived it from when all this goes, as you did when we used to talk all the time. And I don't talk to a lot of people. So you guys were some of the few people that heard live accounts of when this stuff was going on. And I just said, I just told him, I talked about it on the podcast briefly, and it kind of took on a life of its own. But John is a wrestler I have no problem with as far as in the ring. And like, he was always fine to work with, and no problems whatsoever in the ring wrestling.
So do you think he's a very talented wrestler?
I think he's a very good wrestler, yes.
Okay.
And I think he's held his own. And I have I have a different mindset than John, though, and I talked about this. What I was trying to say he's non-competitive, and I'm competitive. I'm competitive with myself, but I love the wrestling business. I truly do. I love myself too, but I love the wrestling business. John always says he loves the WWE, but he does things that are only good for John Cena, loving John Cena, and he did it, and he's shown it time and time again. And anybody who's anybody there knows that, and everybody knows that. That's on the inside there.
Okay, now you say that, not to cut you off real quick, but you say everybody, is there any, I don't want to, you don't have to say names, but is there any examples of that in terms of, because people are going to listen to this and go, well, why is he's venting out on the guy that's been the top draw for the last, 15 something years.
But you have to remember too this. I love and get along with everybody there, and stay in contact with quite a few of the people there.
Okay.
And there's guys and like guys that I put over time and time again. In the Shield guys, I love the Shield guys because they're all good human beings. Mm-hmm. And there's along Rusev. I love Rusev. He's a good human being. Dolph Ziggler, great human being. Wade Barrett, great human being. Stu Bennett, sorry Stu, but and everybody else there, I can go literally down the list of guys and just say, I have personal accounts. And when you ask that, I can say, yeah, off the top of my head, I remember a time when I was out injured and knowing with the ankle injury, there was a guy there who poked him in the eye accidentally, in which it was John's fault most likely. And he had the guy sent back down to developmental and almost ended his career. But that guy fucking rose above and made the most of it and reinvented himself, and is the man, is legitimately one of the few guys you could say is the man up there, and has been a good soldier for them time and time again. And then there's also another instance when we were backstage at a live event with John, and I'm sitting there, and we had already been working together, and John already didn't like me. And and just from when I say didn't like me, and just those personal examples of different things, of just not being a good human being. And
Now, do you think he didn't like you because you were a threat? Correct?
Yeah, I think 100%. That's the only reason. I think from a human being, if we knew each other outside of wrestling, I think there's no problems. And me and John have been social, and I could sit and have a conversation with him. It's just, and I have no problem. And I was telling you earlier before I go into this story, I have a different mindset than John. I love wrestling, and I love myself, and I want to be number one. But I want the business to have the number one guy, whoever is the hottest guy.
You don't mind bringing up the people around you if the time is right, because you'll eventually get back to that position. And
that will drive me to reinvent myself and to try to figure out new ways to get over. Whereas rather than just stay the same and complacent because I can, and that's what you guys are going to deal with. And like, it's a different. And I dare outsiders to tell me I'm wrong because they don't know. They are watching the movie and thinking the movie is real life. You are watching a movie, so quit buying into the movie because that's all that you see. I have been behind the scenes, and I know the truth.
Outside of the stuff with you, you were personally affected. Do you think John's a good person? Yeah. I mean, he's done, clearly you have to admit he has a great work ethic.
Oh, I'll put over his work ethic. He has a phenomenal work ethic, and I've told him, I've complimented him when he done things in movies, and he had an appearance at the end of was it the Will Ferrell movie there the last year?
Yeah.
He made the cameo at the end, and I had no idea he was in it, and I was watching it with my girlfriend, and I told him I thought that was really good. And outside of that, I've always been happy for anyone's success, but there's personal instances where he's gone out of his way to mistreat me, and for no other reason was, like you said, is he perceived me as a threat. It's because we don't have the same mindsets. And that his mindset is not good for the wrestling business, and it's not good for fans. So that's what I meant when I was saying he's a poison and he's a piece of shit. It's in that regard. But the other thing that I was going to tell you the story is we're backstage at a live event, and Pat Buck, I swear to God, 100%, I swear to God, 100% truth, like everything else I fucking talk about.
Okay.
There was a guy there who was a father who I guess at live events, he didn't have a badge where he was allowed to come where we were at. So he had to stand, I don't know if it was 100 feet away, but they had kind of like a line with security that he wasn't allowed to kind of come across.
Okay.
But he worked at the building. And he told me, he goes, I just want to say I'm a huge fan of WWE. I was over there doing my stretching, just kind of away from everybody. And he goes, I just would like to say thank you to John Cena. He goes, is there any way that I would be able to do that? And I said, I can relay the message and see if he'll come over. Can you tell me what it is? And he told me that his son had a big problem bullying, and nothing was getting through to him. And it was only with the Be a Star with John Cena that he saw where that finally, it clicked with him. And his son made made a total switch and stopped the bullying and got his life in order. And it was a younger kid.
Like he was bullying other kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bullying other kids. So that the Be a Star with John Cena was the one thing that got through to this kid.
Okay.
And changed his life and his family's life, because his family was suffering, dealing with all this stuff going on.
Okay.
And I will go tell. Man, that's incredible. I go to John and I tell him that. John looks up, looks at the guy who he could see who's 100 feet away or however far away he is, and he looks me right dead in the eyes and he goes, fuck him, and he walks away. So you tell me that 100, I swear to God,
what
and
the
there's
fuck?
there's other guys, and I'm not to say that I haven't been a dick to anyone before over eBay stuff in the airports.
Yeah.
Who want 15 cards signed. After I say no thank you, then they insult me, and I'll fire off a fucking round on them.
Sure.
But for that situation, you're going to tell me that? And I honestly believe it was because he just hated me so much. He didn't want to give me, and he's thinking I was going to win somehow by asking him to walk over. He couldn't handle that. So fuck him, and he walked away. That's one little piece of everything that I've seen off the top of my head. So don't anybody that tries to tell me different, you don't know.
Wow. Jeez. Well, that's a little speechless with that one. I mean, you try to chalk it up everyone has a bad day and everything, but it's...
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I'm just saying in that situation right there, and he heard that exact what I told you. He knew the facts of the situation. You don't act like that no matter what in that situation. That's where, and there's just so many other things. It frustrates me because people don't know and they buy in. They think the character is the real life. His character is the ultimate good guy.
Okay.
That's the character. But people buy into it and they think that like you're gonna tell me you think all the bad guys are really bad guys? Like come on, like grow up. You don't watch movies and believe that the movie you're watching is real. You don't think that actor is who he is when he leaves that role, when he lives his real life. But for wrestling fans, they can't distinguish it. They don't want to. They don't want to. And then when they hear something like that, they think you're going out of your way